Tree Talking Time is brought to you by Conkey's Outdoors and Stone Creek Hound Supply. Be sure to check them out for all your hound hunting needs.
Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest feists to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game.
Oh gosh, where do I begin? Um, hmm. Well, I think the craziest travel related story that I have was actually came from the St. Jude hunt down in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay, so that event, there's a lot of controversy around that event, in general.
World's largest coon hunt.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with animal rights activists.
Yep.
So, being fresh to UKC and not knowing much about the history behind the event and all this controversy, I was sitting in my office one day and some of our staff had already left for the event. And a phone call comes through first thing in the morning and got into a department that it wasn't supposed to be in. So a girl came to me and asked if I could take the call. The person was asking to talk to the hunting club. And, obviously no clue what they mean by that. So they just assumed it belonged to hunting programs. And I was like, yeah, I'll take the call. So get on the call with this lady and start talking to her a little bit. And she's asking if this is the hunting club. And I said, well, this is the United Kennel Club and we sponsor a lot of hunting related events. And she asked me if we were associated with the St. Jude hunt. And I said, yeah. And it was like in that moment, she became demon possessed.
Oh, geez.
And I couldn't get a word in edgewise. She started screaming at me on the phone. And the only thing that I could think to do in the moment was, because I was so taken off guard, was I hit the speaker button on my phone. And she started coming through the phone so everybody could hear.
Yeah.
And within a couple, 10, 20, 30 seconds, I had 8 or 9 people standing at my office door listening to this lady just berate me about this St. Jude's hunt. And, it actually ended in death threats.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. She said she was going to come after me and my family and everybody I knew, basically,
Yeah.
And obviously there was no weight to that. But in the moment, kind of a rattling thing to hear at 8:00 in the morning. So that was kind of interesting, but it's going back to telling a story about traveling. So one of the girls at UKC kind of set up the travel arrangements for us, and for those that anybody that hasn't been to St. Jude event before, that event takes place in a dry county.
Okay.
So I'm going to preface this story with that. So we get put up at this Airbnb. It's I don't know. It's not right in town. It was kind of off the beaten trail, kind of in the more historical part of town, and a little quaint Airbnb, just like you would imagine it in the South there. And we go to check into the hotel or the Airbnb, and here the whole place is supposed to be haunted. And they just keep telling us all the horror stories that go along with the hauntings.
Yeah.
And, of course I'm traveling with two of the ladies that worked, at UKC at the time, and they're completely freaked out. And I was like, well, I'm going to be so tired after today that they can haunt me all they want. I'm going to be asleep for it.
Yeah.
So we had that to deal with. And, we go to the event, we go get everything set up and start the event. And we're just going through our normal, everyday stuff for traveling on the road. And we get done that afternoon and it's about dinner time, and the girls did not want to go back to the Airbnb that we were staying at. And they were looking for every excuse to go anywhere but there. And I was like, well, let's drive around. Maybe we can find a place, to have dinner and get a couple drinks or something like that, and kind of whittle the night away. So we spend as least amount of time at the Airbnb as possible.
Yeah.
Well, so we find, being that it's a dry county, it's hard to find a bar, obviously. So we found this little bar that was just across the county line.
Okay.
and it looks like your traditional dive bar. There's bikes parked out front, and it's pretty rough looking place. So the only place we could find, they had food there, so we were like, okay, let's go. We'll check it out. So we walk in, and immediately everybody in the building just turns around and looks at us. And, we got that look like, you're not from this part of town, are you? And I was like, oh boy. Well, to make a long story short, we ended up closing that bar down that night. We played pool with all the bikers, and they were buying us drinks and paying for our dinners, and we just were having a grand old time. And we went back to the haunted Airbnb, slept for a couple hours, and then we got back up and we went to the St. Jude event, again the next day. And one of the ladies that was in charge of running the event, she came up to us first thing in the morning, and she was like, hey, how was your night? And, did you guys go out to dinner? And, oh, yeah, we went out to dinner and we got a couple drinks. And she was like, oh, yeah, where'd you go? And, well, we rattled off the name of the bar, and she turned as white as a sheet. And she was like, hold on a second, I'll be right back. And she brought us a newspaper from like a couple of days ago. Yeah. And here somebody had just gotten shot and killed in that bar.
Oh, geez.
Just a couple of days beforehand. And we were just beside ourselves. We were so appalled.
You were just oblivious, though.
Oh my gosh. Well, it was probably a haunted bar too at that point, to be fair. So it's kind of like, oh Lord, have mercy. I can't even imagine what that woman's opinion of us was after that, but it was just like, wow.
I see why you were asking about what kind of things have happened to me while I've traveled. No, about the worst, craziest thing is when I was telling you about, I rolled my car the one time when I went down to Big Game Nationals. I've got some friends that live in West Virginia. It was like 20 minutes from their house, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to come down. It was Memorial Day weekend. My truck wouldn't start, so I hop into what used to be my wife's old car, and she'd gotten a newer car, and so I was like, I'd taken her car. It's just like my little runner.
Yeah.
And it was a little Nissan Rogue, and throw some dogs in the back of this Nissan, and away I go. And I am literally on my friend's road, just a gravel road, and it's not quite a 2-lane road, but it's a little wider than a 1-lane road, right?
Sure.
And I meet a lifted Dodge with wide offset tires, and I tried just to get over a little bit. What was a wall of bushes was there, turns out that wall of bushes was growing up out of an embankment, and I rolled down said embankment. So, me and my 2 dogs got a little rattled, but
oh man,
we made it out of there okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you said the dogs came out unscathed.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I hop out of the car, I climbed out of the passenger. What was it? Yeah, driver window. I had to think which way that car was sitting, and it was a car that you didn't have to have a key in the ignition, it was a push button. But they had been in the console or in the cup holder or something. And so I crawled out of the car at first, just your natural reaction. You get into an accident, you're trying to get out. And then the guy in this truck, he'd stopped and he's like, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, but I've got 2 dogs in here. So then I had to crawl back in, find the key because the doors were still locked.
Oh, wow.
And so I could unlock the car and I opened the back up. And I had put a blanket or something in the back. I forget exactly what it was. But it was on top of them. And I picked it up, and they're both just sitting there and they look up at me what just happened? And then they both try to come out, and I'm trying to catch dogs.
Oh, jeez.
So it was a mess. Did not make it to... because there was a bench show going on at the time. I was supposed to drop my dogs off at my friend's house, and then I was going to go down to the event for that night. I didn't have anything that I was planning on entering that night, so I was like,
sure,
let me just drop my dogs off at your house, and then I'll come down. And so my friends were already at the event, so then I'm calling them, and my buddy Chris is like, Erin's literally in the show ring, but as soon as she's out, we will head home. So
I went to the the one time that I went to the Big Game Nationals, it was at Jamie Estep's club.
Mm-hmm.
UKC field rep Jamie Estep. And Jamie had called me about judging the bench show, actually.
Okay.
And, I told my wife, I was like, hey, we need to go down and you need to ride with me to West Virginia to go check out this Big Game Nationals. I've never been to it, And
Mm-hmm.
so I convinced her to go, and I believe she was pregnant with her first daughter at the time. I don't remember how pregnant, but she was pregnant. And my Garmin, for whatever reason, took me down every single hillbilly holler that they had in West Virginia that day. And that poor girl was just sicker than a dog.
Yeah.
And we got there, and we got out of the truck, and Jamie, of course, he's waiting there to greet us, and my wife's like, I don't care what your name is, show me where the bathroom's at.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, we're a little ways into this, and obviously, if you are not aware of the voice I have here, this is Corey Gruver.
Hi.
Former, what was your title at UKC?
I don't know if I can say that on the air.
Okay.
That's a little vulgar. No,
Oh.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm a former hunting programs associate.
Gotcha.
Let's use that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
3 years.
Okay. We've talked a lot here tonight as we're out coon hunting, and you've got to do a lot of cool things between UKC, your club, and that's kind of what I want to talk to you about, is kind of like how to breathe some life into a club. You've gotten a lot of experience while working at UKC, and then you've taken that, and especially in the last year, really done a lot with your club. And, I wouldn't have known Mercer County Coon Hunters from any other club in this state, other than just like, yeah, it's a club out there in Western PA. Like, other than that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
There's a handful of clubs, like, I know they exist, but I don't know anything about what's going on there.
Sure.
But I can tell you right now, like, the last year, I've known about all your events, what you're doing. You're well advertised. You're really trying to do some things that are really, I think, helping your club. And from what we've talked about, you've kind of even said that it is. So why don't we kind of just get into that?
Yeah.
So kind of what did you go in and start working on first, and how did you figure out and what you needed to do?
Yeah. Well, I think every club shoots to be successful.
Yeah.
I mean, whether the effort's put in or not, we all want to have good events.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's mostly the mindset you have to kind of go into any kind of position where you're going to be coordinating coonhound events, is you have to put on an event that you would want to participate in.
Yeah. And
that's kind of been my MO.
Okay.
Is, I would want to participate in a good event. And if I'm going to be spending my cold hard cash to bring my sorry stock of dogs down here to participate, I want it to be well worth my time. And I think that other people can attune to that as well.
Yeah.
It's not cheap running up and down the road, paying entry fees.
Heck no.
At these clubs. And every club's different as far as what they charge and what they offer. So I think that's the biggest thing, is you just have to put on an event that not only people want to come to, but just something that you would have fun participating in.
Well, how did you figure out what that equated to? Like, and like for me, I'm thinking of my club, and I'm just like, how do I make this a better event? I'm kind of like, I don't know. We don't have great numbers. We don't have great help. We don't so.
Well, it's kind of a twofold thing. So, I'm a big numbers guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, it doesn't really matter what we're talking about. If I can put some stats to it, then I really enjoy talking about it. And that's kind of the big advantage that we have with coonhound events, and especially with a lot of these clubs that have been in existence for a long time. We have record of participation in events. As long as you're holding licensed events, then there exists some sort of record out there as far as what participations looked like, within the past couple of years. And coming into coordinating events for my club this year, I was very fortunate. I just went to cleaning up the clubhouse the one day, and I opened up a filing cabinet, and there was event reports from all the way back in 2015.
Wow.
And I just kind of pulled the stack of papers out, and I started leafing through them and organizing them by year and month, and eventually I had a whole catalog of exactly what our entry numbers had been for 10 years, at least 10 years. So going back to me being a numbers guy, I like having successful events, and that's kind of in my blood from where I've been and working for UKC, and UKC always puts on a really good event, a premier event. And
for sure.
and we were always focused on entry numbers. That's kind of the pulse of whether you're doing a good job or not, are people coming and paying their money to participate. So
Well, just a little aside here, I was listening to the UKC Hunting Ops podcast on the way out here, and it was Trevor and Alan talking about kind of like the new updates of what's going on with the coonhound programs, and one of the things that they were talking about was the success of TOC and how that's driven like those the number of dogs that had 5 cast wins pre-TOC was like 300 a year.
Oh my gosh.
Now at the end of October, it's it's already over 1,000.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's spectacular.
And TOC's what? This is the 4th year?
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
And you've over tripled the numbers of dogs that have 5 cast wins in a year.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it wasn't just TOC. They revamped, the whole grand program where you can go levels and Hall of Fame and all that too. So it was multiple things that kind of all came together, but it definitely has. Those numbers show that it's up.
Absolutely. So. And that's the whole thing about numbers. Like I said, it's kind of it's the best way for us to be able to investigate what makes an event work. Because people don't just show up for no reason.
Yeah.
And people don't pay their money for no reason. So if you have a good event, then you're probably going to have pretty good numbers. And it's all relative to your area, but I know specifically for our area, if we saw 10 or 12 dogs at a bench show, that was a pretty big bench show.
Oh yeah, that would be huge where I'm at.
Yeah, or if we had 4 or 5 casts, that was a pretty good hunt. And if that's your baseline, then obviously you just try to think of things that could make it better, or entice more people to come from further out, or maybe you're not getting local participation. Maybe you need more local participation, so you try to figure something out that brings people in. But we kind of that was kind of my goal, to set out and work on our entry numbers. Because inevitably everybody talks about the good old days when you could roll into a hunt and see anywhere from 60 to 100 dogs.
Oh yeah.
I never lived in those days.
Either did I.
I wish I would have paid more attention to that sort of stuff when I was a kid, but realistically.
But you were a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Conkeys Outdoors is proud to be a sponsor of Tree Talking Time. Family, hunting, tradition is the Conkeys motto. They understand the importance of passing down the tradition of hound hunting. They are a family-owned business that treats you like family. They also understand the importance of having the gear you need when you need it.
Conkey's carries everything for your next hunt, and it ships to your door quick. They also offer great warranties on all tracking systems and financing options. Check them out at conkeys.com. You can also use the code TreeTalkingTime5 in all caps to save as well.
Realistically, if you're talking, a big event that's not a national level hunt, I can remember, our Pennsylvania State hunt, having 80 to 90 dogs in it.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of different times when it was up in Crawford County, Pennsylvania. But really, that's about the extent as far as large numbers, as far as what I saw. But we were pretty average as far as what the state was seeing as far as entry numbers at different types of events. Whether that be the hunt or the show, and that was kind of just where I started, was just with those old reports. Looking at the numbers, seeing what they did, and trying to figure out, the ebb and flow.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like COVID, that really kind of screwed entry numbers up.
Oh, yeah.
In 2020 and 2021, and
yeah, for sure,
even into 2022 for a little bit, and that certainly helped increase numbers moving forward. At some events, because people didn't travel as much, didn't go to events. Events were being canceled. But there was still a lot of potential there for us individually as a club. And, I just I didn't really necessarily take any major plays out of my experience, or plays from my playbook from the time I was at UKC.
Okay.
Honestly, what I did a lot of was I just paid attention to what other successful events around the country were doing.
Okay.
And I was very fortunate I've done a lot of different judging assignments outside of our area in different states and different parts of the country. And I've worked with amazing people, like Liz Stocker Phipps from New Philadelphia, Ohio. Liz is an excellent event coordinator, and she's had some very successful events at her club and at different avenues and different registries and stuff like that. She was, I don't know if she was the one that started the all pink hunt, the all ladies hunt down there in New Philly, but she's certainly been a big proponent for that.
Yeah.
Within the last 10 years. And there's just so many other people, like Katie Woodward out of Virginia.
Yeah.
She's such a great, event coordinator. I really need to make a trip down there to participate in some of their events.
Let's go.
Yeah, we'll take a road trip.
That's a lot closer to me than you are.
So what, are we going to meet in the middle and then just go south?
I'll just meet you there.
Oh, okay.
You would drive this way. It would be like a V.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant.
We would meet there.
Yeah, that's the middle.
Exactly.
But, that's kind of the advantage we have in the social media age.
Yeah.
We don't have to necessarily go to an event to see its success.
Yeah.
And people obviously talk about successful events. And you can kind of gauge how people feel about different things and what their thoughts are. And because they kind of hope, they freely put it on Facebook for you to look at.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Everyone loves to put their opinion out there.
Heck yeah, exactly. So, a lot of information gathering, a lot of paying attention to what other clubs and other programs are doing, leaning a little bit on my experiences, promoting events with UKC, especially the advertising side of things.
Yeah.
That may be probably the only experience I drove, or I pulled out of my time at UKC that really has helped me plan successful events. But
well, like I said, I think that's a huge part of your success, because like I said before, a year ago, like I think I might have liked your Coon Hunters page, but I like a lot of the pages for clubs around the state.
Right.
But it's like I said, I know a lot of these clubs exist, but I don't really know when they're having events. I don't really you know, because when they just post, oh, yeah, we're having a, an event, and it's just, they just type it out. It doesn't catch your eye. It's not something you remember.
Yeah.
But here you are, you're like creating really nice graphics, really nice ads, and then you're sharing it across multiple groups. You're resharing it multiple times, like, so that way it's kind of just refreshed and it's eye catching. And I think people just don't think about that,
Well, and I think that people don't think about the time frame that it takes to employ a successful ad campaign, if you will.
Yeah, like you're advertising right now for an event that's going to be in February.
Yeah. So we just posted our an event we call the Midwinter Jamboree. That's a pretty historical event with our club, and we've been doing that for eons. And it's just a traditional coon hunters event with a bench show and treeing contests and stuff like that. We don't do a night hunt with it because who wants to hunt in the middle of February? But yeah, I mean, we just I think November 7th we went live with the ad that featured our sponsors for the event.
Yep.
And the $750 added purse that we have on the bench show because of our sponsors. And that's what it takes. I mean, you made a really good point when we were hunting tonight. We were kind of talking about it a little bit. And you kind of mentioned how people are just so busy these days. And I mean, I just speaking to my own experience with life as a married man with 2 children, having a full-time job, a yard that needs mowed, and
there's always something to do.
Exactly. And people plan events much further out in advance than what they did in the past.
Oh, yeah.
And if you want to try to get onto somebody's radar, you got to get these events out there in the stratosphere well before, 6 days prior.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I think people don't quite realize. Like, well, we posted it, we threw it out there, and it's like, well, yeah, you posted a generic post on Facebook that nobody paid attention to. Nobody saw that. Like, and you did it a week before, so a week ahead of time?
Yeah,
I already know what I'm doing. Well, I don't. My wife does. She knows what we're doing next weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I have to make sure I call and ask because I don't pay attention.
Yeah.
I live in my own little. If I'm not working, I don't know what's going on.
She tells you the day of where you need to be.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Well, we actually have a calendar that she writes everything on, but I don't read it. So.
No kidding. Oh my gosh.
She's trying to get me to read it. It's inside the pantry door, so like every time you open the pantry door, it's right there, staring you in the face.
Yeah,
And I still ask her the same questions.
Those things only work if you update them.
Oh, she's real good about updating.
Oh, that's good. Ours is kind of like the Christmas tree that's been up since,
Oh, no, she writes her work schedule on it, so I know what day she's working late, what day she's not, this, that, the other. And I'm like, what day you working late this week? So.
Yeah, so advertising's a huge thing, and I think if you aren't advertising your coonhound events nowadays, you're just going to get left by the wayside.
Yeah. No, and granted, I don't think I've ever put as much effort into advertising as you have, but I've seen that even on a small scale with my club. We've got a Facebook page, and I'm one of the admins on it, and it's like the events that we try to promote a little bit more, like that for whatever reason, we don't do, all of our events are pretty much the same exact event. We don't have anything special going on. I think they're bench shows and night hunts, but the ones that I have more time and I just happen to promote a little better.
Yeah.
I would say we probably see some better results.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and on top of that, there's always going to be something else going on any given date. And you have to be able to set yourself apart as the premier option.
Yeah.
And especially nowadays with the saturation of clubs that we see state to state.
Yeah.
There are so many options for people, and that's not even talking about outside of each individual registry.
Mm-hmm.
I could sit here on any given, especially in the month of May, in my state of Pennsylvania, our state of Pennsylvania, I could go anywhere I want in May. Every weekend's got something, and every weekend's got multiple events that I could go to.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you choose?
Yeah.
You go where you think you're going to get the most bang for your buck, right?
Yeah. You get, especially, if you're showing your dogs, you want to make sure you have competition. So you try to go to the places that have the bigger shows.
Yeah.
You go to the hunts that you think are going to have a turnout, that are going to have, places that have good hunting, good judges, good guides. Like, yeah, there's a lot of factors into it.
And a lot of clubs may have all these things, but if they don't spell it out via an advertisement for somebody, how's anybody that doesn't know about your club going to know?
Yeah.
I mean, you could be the best kept secret in the state, but if you don't put yourself out there, to be seen and heard and opportunities taken advantage of, then people aren't going to do it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. I think more, like these are really specific aspects of having a good event, but I think kind of at the core, you have to have a good club. And when I say a good club, you have to have butts in chairs that want to be there and are willing to work together to make an event successful.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the biggest thing.
You brought up earlier when we were talking, there's a lot of people that just want to show up and be there, but you don't have enough people that actually want to do the work, which I kind of find funny because in a lot of times, the old saying is you have too many chiefs and not enough Indians, and here we have too many Indians and not enough chiefs. We don't have anybody stepping up because nobody, and I put myself in this category. We were talking about bench show judges and master of hounds, and it's like, I put myself in that category. I should probably be a bench show judge. Like, I had the test printed out. I had, my club was like, yep, we're going to, when you had to have it, that whole process just changed. But, the old paper way, like I was 3/4 of the way there and just kind of dropped the ball. So like, I blame, I'm one of the ones that needs to do more. And
sure.
So, and I think a lot of us probably can. And it's like, if we want to see this, if we want to see coon hunting last, especially as we move into more technical age, how do you keep people involved? It means you have to step up because nobody else is stepping up.
Yeah.
So if you're involved and you want to see this last and you want to see kids, your kids, your grandkids, whatever, involved in this later down the road, that means you need to step up.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Well, and such is life, I guess, because that's really the aspiration that you should be shooting for. I guess what I mean is, we all come into the sport as fledgling hunters, regardless of what our experience level is. We're talking specifically about like competition hunting here.
Yeah.
We all come to the clubs for the first time and meet everybody and get introduced to people and kind of learn our $20 lessons and we grow and we expand our knowledge base. And, that eventually turns itself into being a competitor, and we find some success in the competition world, and we do well with our dogs, and then, people start to recognize us as competition or as somebody that has a good knowledge base. Well, where do you go from there? You move on to service. Really. I mean, a lot of it's about service because, I know that I would like to participate with my dog at every event our club has, because my club's only 3 miles from my house.
Mm-hmm.
But I also recognize the fact that other people want to be able to show their dogs at our club, and I'm doing a great disservice to my club by not holding a bench show judge license or a master hounds license and sitting out in an event that I would like to participate in.
Yeah.
So that all of my buddies can go out there and do what they enjoy doing.
Yeah.
It's a give and take system, and I think I would love to think the best of our sport.
Mm-hmm.
But I do recognize that there's a lot more take than give.
Yeah.
And time is probably the most valuable asset that any of us have. And if you're not willing to donate some of your time and serve in this capacity, then you don't give other people the opportunity to enjoy the sport.
Yeah. No, and like, clubs need people in the kitchen. Clubs need people to sweep the floors. Like, it's not all. Yeah, you need judges. You need master hounds. You need guides. But even the people that can't do those things, you still need other things done around the club.
Yeah.
And maybe you working in the kitchen frees up somebody else to go guide, or to participate or whatever. And so, at the same point, I know there's not a lot of, I don't know, reason for people to join clubs if they're not, like in my local area, I know of a couple guys that are not members of our club. And it's like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we could use the help. We've got like 8 members running this place. Like, 1 or 2 extra people when you got 8 members is a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's like, why are you not coming? You're a coon hunter in our area. Why are you not here? Like, I'm not saying you have to be here every hunt, every meeting, but it's like, we'll go years without seeing these people.
Sure.
Until they have a dog that they want to put in a hunt.
Yeah.
But it's like, once they have a dog they want to put in a hunt, guess what? They're at our hunts.
Well, and I've talked about it with some of the guys from local area clubs just around me here. And, a lot of times our clubs will hold big coon contests or fur hunts or whatever you like to call them.
Yeah.
And we'll get guys in there that we've never seen.
Yeah.
And where did these people come from? Do you got dogs? Do you want to join?
Yeah.
What's the deal, man? And you know what? You'll never see those people again if you don't have a fur hunt.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of eye-opening because you realize that, hey, there are more people than just us hound hunters out here, or there are people that are actually interested in the sport, and aside from the dogs, even.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of a weird dynamic, One thing that really frustrates me, and I'm going to preface this with, I'm a big supporter of the youth, and anyone that knows me knows that.
Because that's how you came up through their youth programs.
Yeah, absolutely. That is kind of one of my biggest issues with promoting the sport of coon hunting is, a lot of people want to say, oh, it's a dying sport. We need to get the youth involved. Okay, well, yeah, I agree with that. But at the same time, there are a lot of 20 to 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
There are a lot of 30 to 40-year-olds, 40 to 50-year-olds that would probably give coon hunting a try if we reached out to them. If we kind of...
And the kicker is, while I'm all about getting youth involved, I just shared a picture of my 4-year-old that I took on his first coon hunt the other day, and it's gotten a ton of traction on Facebook as of today while I was driving out here, and I'm just like kind of blown away. But my 4-year-old's not going to go buy a light. My 4-year-old's not going to go buy a pair of boots. That 20-year-old is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, that 20-year-old's going to go buy a dog. The 20-year-old's going to now go, start participating in your hunts.
Yeah.
You know, my 4-year-old's not doing any of that. He's going to go coon hunting with me with
that you know of.
hand-me-down gear for the next, handful of years until he's old enough to really go more consistently. And at that point, he's got an older brother. So like I said, he'll have hand-me-down gear for until he's outgrows his brother, or they're the same size.
Yeah.
So he's not contributing anything. Like getting him in, even me getting him involved is not contributing really anything like an adult would.
Sure.
Stone Creek Hound Supply, a family-operated business, boasts over 50 years of involvement in hounds. For over 2 decades, they've been dedicated to supplying high-quality hound gear. Their reputation is founded on unparalleled quality and exceptional customer service. Crafted from U.S. source materials, Stone Creek clothing is meticulously manufactured right here in Pennsylvania. Through their commitment to excellence, many of their customers have become lifelong friends. Use the code TreeTalkinTime15 to save on all your purchases.
Adults have time, they have money, they have transportation, all things that youth don't have. And
everyone has inherent value and different things that they bring to the table as far as advantages to a club, whether, obviously you're a well-networked individual yourself. So having you involved in a club is a big asset because of your level of experience with different companies and vendors that may sponsor prizes, or what have you. Everybody brings different stuff like that to the table.
Oh yeah.
And as much as I love working with youth and love working with children in general, children aren't quite at that place to contribute like an adult can
exactly
to a club. And I can tell you that with the success that the Mercer County Coon Hunters Association has seen this year, we've gained quite a few new members that haven't been involved with the club before. And I can tell you that they all have a couple of things in common. They're all male. We don't have any females that have been beating down our door to come and participate, in our events. And, well, I should say at least new people.
Yeah.
And they're all between the ages of 25 and 35.
Okay.
So there's obviously a demographic there, right? We've got a target audience, obviously, where, young men are looking for a social outlet.
Yeah.
That involves the outdoors, and everybody loves dogs.
Yep.
I don't know very many people that don't.
If they don't like dogs, then I don't like them. So
well,
I don't really
then
care
they
what their
don't.
opinion.
They don't belong at the Coon Club.
Exactly.
We're not hunting with cats out here, man.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess you got to keep an eye on the pulse of the club. You got to keep an eye on stuff like this. You have to be able to look at the intricate little details that kind of flash before your eyes. Obviously I never would have paid attention to that because generally speaking, most of the people that are at the Coon Club are male. Yeah. But hey, I just happened to recognize that one day. All the guys that have joined the club this past year have been young males. Well, that's great. Those are the kind of guys, or those are the kind of people we want in the club.
Yeah. And I would say, like, my club, I'm the youngest active coon hunter in my club. Like, we've got some youth members, that are either kids or grandkids of members, but, none of them actually hunt dogs of their own by any means. You know? So, and here I am, almost 35. And, there's 2 guys that are, right around 40, another guy that's in his 50s, or that just turned 50, and another guy is, what is he? Probably 55, And it's like, so we've got kind of a wide age gap. We don't have a ton of older members like a lot of clubs, but we need that more. We still need to bring up more young people, because like I said,
Mm-hmm.
here I am 35 and I'm the youngest one that's really in our
Yeah.
club. So it's like we're spread out age wise, and it's like we need some younger members here. Like about 10 years ago, 10 to 15 years ago, there was three of us that all kind of came in right around that same time frame, probably within a 5-year window. We all
Yeah.
came in, and we're the president, vice president, and the secretary, or treasurer, not secretary. The secretary is one of the older guys, but it's like, so three of us are that came in 10, 15 years ago are holding offices, but there's nobody to pass that down to.
Right.
Like I was, our president, he's kind of taken a step back from coon hunting just because of his job and his family life, and now he's still done a lot for our club, even though he's not really doing a lot of hunting. But I think kind of the writing on the wall and kind of some things that he said, I think he's looking to step down, but it's like there's nobody to really step up
Right.
into that position that hasn't already held it or held some other office,
Yeah. What good's being the king of a castle if there's nobody around to?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, young people are exciting to have around the club
Mhm.
because most of the time they're enthusiastic. They want to learn. They want to get involved. But there are plenty of people of all ages that need the support that we extend mostly to youth.
Yeah.
And that's where I get frustrated with a lot of people because they want to hone in on kids and have special youth events for kids and
Yeah.
with prizes and all these different glittery things. And that's all great and that has a place in our sport. But at the same time, are we really working on recruiting people into the sport at that point in time? Because last time I was at a youth hunt, most of those kids were with their dads or with their grandpas or
Yep.
with their uncles or aunts or what
Mhm.
have you. And I don't know that those are the kind of people that we're trying to recruit because they've already been recruited.
Yeah. They're getting recruited at home. Like my kids, like, yeah, my son went to the Maryland Youth State bench show, did well, won overall. He was all fired up, right? Great. He got he got a old plaque, he got a dog bowl, a dog leash, and he's all happy.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, like, he's hunted with me already. Like, going to that youth event didn't solidify anything, like,
Yeah.
that he wouldn't have already been involved in just with, going with me. So,
Yeah.
he loves to go coon hunt with me. Does he like to go to the events because he wants to win stuff? Yes. But like, he's not gonna be a coon hunter because you want a dog leash and a dog bowl.
Yeah. Well, it always cracks me up when I hear, people talking about we got to reach out to the youth. Because most of the time, people that say that are like 80-year-old dudes. And not to be rude to you 80-year-old dudes out there, but they're skipping a whole generation
Yeah.
of people right in the middle.
Yep.
And it's interesting, but at the same time, I think that you also got to be willing to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of the one of the bigger points I'd make is, as crazy as life is with 2 kids and a job and a wife and everything else that we have going on,
Mm-hmm.
we still got to make time for hunting.
Yeah.
As much as my pot belly indicates that I don't,
Mm-hmm.
I still try to make enough time to either go hunting by myself, keep my dog tuned up, take somebody that's working with a pup that wants to run with an older dog.
Yeah.
Take somebody that's never been before, As much as I want to have my dog's competition ready all the time, we kind of have to make sacrifices there and look out for other people. And hunting's really what gets people in the door.
Yeah.
as great as, a bench show is, it's the act of hunting that brings us all together in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we've had a lot of success enticing these new members to come to our meetings by holding buddy hunts.
Okay.
After our meetings, because generally we all get together and hunt as it is. And we got a couple of guys at the club, man, they hunt 6 or 7 nights a week. Actually Kyle Preston, John Owens, they're both handlers for Randy Smith, Lone Pine Kennels. We got an older guy at the club. We don't even talk about his age because I think if we did, he'd deck us. But he's in way better shape than we are. Keith Pierce, and he doesn't act his age, and he's always hunting and he's always willing to take somebody out and show them the ropes and introduce people to the sport. And that's what it takes. You don't have to hunt 6 or 7 nights a week, but you have to be willing to make time to take somebody.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
No, and that's for sure. And, I think we could all do a better job of that. So, I think there's a lot of key takeaways that, not only help the club at the club level, but at the whole sport as in general,
Yeah.
So.
The ethos, if you will.
Yeah.
I think that's the right word. I don't know. Trying to sound smarter than I am.
You're the writer, not me.
Yeah. There's so many little things that can be done to make a club successful.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, it all probably boils down to your own willingness to make it happen.
Yeah.
I know there's plenty of us out there that we get burnt out. We spend a lot of time at the club and probably more time than we should doing things that we don't really care that much about. But at the end of the day, it's all about encouraging people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you aren't seeing immediate rewards from the hard work you've been putting in, maybe one of these little tidbits of information that we're sharing with you tonight is something that you can take and apply, to your particular situation.
No, I know just some things that we've talked about tonight that I know my club could do better and that I could do better, and just talking to you about it is kind of like, yeah, I should probably get my bench show license and do a better job of advertising.
I can help you with
events.
that. I can help you with that. I can help you with all of it. Trust me, and it won't cost you that
now.
Well, yeah, it won't cost you that much either. Oh man!
Which, if you haven't listened to the new UKC Hunting Ops podcast this week's, because this is going to come out the week after, so go back and listen to last week's podcast because there's a lot of new information, and they don't even give you all of it. Alan's just spilling the beans on kind of what's to come on a lot of things, but.
Oh man, yeah, I think that they're really doing a good job of streamlining their processes.
Yeah,
making them more user friendly for the modern age, and
exactly getting away from the mail that sucks.
Yeah, that's exactly
because it's been a huge. I know, like we sent in some results, and then like Trevor ended up texting me. He's like, "Hey, I see you're a member of this club. We're still waiting on these results. We've had some trouble getting them. Like, can you just text me a picture of them?" And I was like, "Yeah, give me a minute."
What a day we live in, huh?
And because like we had tried to mail it twice.
Sure.
And they eventually, after I texted to them, eventually got it. Because like our secretary's pretty good, and he mails our results out Monday morning.
Yeah.
And they're like, we never got them. So then he sent them out again and sent payment again.
Yeah.
And
at some point in time, that starts to get expensive.
Yeah. And so they eventually did get at least one set of it.
Sure.
They were trying to get just some results compiled, so they were just wanting to at least know what the reports said.
Yeah. Well, and I still talk to Alan and Trevor on a fairly regular basis, and I know that I've spoken with Alan about several different things that they're willing to try and that they're going to be working on
Yeah.
in the coming year. And I think that it's going to be great, for the clubs. I mean, anything that can make our lives easier as far as hosting events is great, because at the end of the day, an event equals profit.
Yeah.
As whether it's a little bit of money or it's a lot of money, that's what keeps these clubs operating.
Clubs need money to operate. We were talking about that. There's very few clubs out there that live in some world that they don't have an operating budget. So usually you've at least got an electric bill, maybe some rent or some taxes on a clubhouse, something of that nature.
Or a stingy treasurer, something. But yeah, I think that all, as much as these registries change things around on us, this is a change for the better, I think.
No, I'm excited for it. I think it's good. I think it's what we need.
And I highly recommend anybody that's interested, get your bench show judge license, get your master hounds license, anything that you think that would prevent you from being able to pass the test or to be a good official is probably a bunch of malarkey. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And it's not as hard of a process as what people think it is either.
Yeah.
The traditional way of doing it, I should say. And the other thing is you don't necessarily have to know everything to be a good official.
Yeah. Fortunately, there is a rule book, and it's heck. I was looking up rules last year in the woods.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like this. If you come to the application process or to, the licensing process, expecting that you should know everything, that's probably a red flag right there. Because none of us know everything.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the capacity to grow and to learn along the way, then you won't be a very good official or you won't be a very good judge. And that's what's expected of us as license holders, with any registry. If we're talking about, some sort of judging license in a show setting or, an official license for, like a hunt director or master hounds, we got to learn and grow and we got to gain experience.
Yep.
And
you're not going to gain experience if you don't have the license.
Yeah, exactly. And getting out there and doing it is the best way to get all of that. So, it's not a hard process the way it is right now. The test is open book. I wasn't a very good test taker in school, but I could ace an open book test.
Yeah.
And it's a great asset to your club if you can bring that to the table. And the more officials you have to choose from when you're scheduling an event, that could make or break an event too.
Yeah.
And I know that there are so many clubs across this country that don't have that pool of qualified people to pull from.
Yeah.
And I know so many people that are the only master hounds or the only bench show judge within a certain mile radius of their home club or wherever they live. And it gets frustrating to those people with a license.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can't be everywhere every weekend. There needs to be some sort of accountability with everybody else, to step up and take on some of that responsibility.
Absolutely. No, and I know that's kind of one of our quote-unquote issues is, we've got a very small handful of qualified people right now that are licensed bench show judges. And in my neck of the woods, only know one master of hounds. Otherwise, most of our events are typically hunt director format.
Sure.
Because I only know the one master of hounds. So,
yeah,
if he happens to be there and he can stick around, he'll usually do it. But otherwise,
yeah,
it ends up being a hunt director. But like I said, we're in a position where we need to. There's quite a few of us that need to step up and get some licenses.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think as listeners listen to this, there's a lot of listeners that are in that same boat. If you're participating in these events, you should be also giving back.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, and that's the best way to do it. And I know that there are plenty of people that would give the shirt off their back for a kid that wanted to participate in an event. We kind of have to have that same mindset when we're dealing with people our age.
Yeah.
Or, our mentors or older people.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be we need to be willing to do that for all people, not just youth.
Exactly. No, I think with that, unless you got something else, I think that's kind of a good note to end on.
I think so. That's a mic drop moment.
I know. And it's also 2 a.m. Oh, 3 a.m.
3 a.m. Oh my gosh.
So.
Well, if anybody was curious, we had a great hunt tonight. We treed a lot of coons. We were treeing.
I can't even make it through that without coughing and hacking a lung up.
We treed so many coons that Ben didn't even have an opportunity to get his camera out and take photographic evidence.
Yep.
So I appreciate you coming up here and hunting with me, even though the hunting stunk so bad.
Hey, we had a good time.
Yeah. Our dogs seemed to get along pretty good. They were hunting pretty good together.
Yeah. And hey, if there's nothing moving, there's nothing moving. So.
Well, hey, I don't want to tell on you on your own podcast, but we did tree one thing.
What's that?
We treed that cat.
Oh,
right off the get-go.
You're right. I did forget about the cat. I was thinking that other tree. I'm like, oh, that one was, I don't know, a little questionable, but
hey, we didn't get skunked. That's all that matters.
That is true. We did not. And I tell everybody, I hunt a cull, because, and my wife asked me that. I don't know. I guess it was a couple weeks ago when I posted a picture of him about the beginning of coon season. I said, I'm going to be hunting this cull. And my wife's like, why'd you call him a cull? And I'm like, because then I set the bar really low because that way when he does something stupid or he doesn't look good, I flat out told everybody he was a cull.
Oh, man.
I said, he's pretty. That's all he's got going for him.
Oh, jeez. Well.
I got the prettiest red bone in the country.
Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah. And he looked real pretty tonight. Let me tell you.
He did. Pretty sorry. But I really appreciate it, Corey. I appreciate you letting me come out here and hunt with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep them talking in the timber.